Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to today's stream. So this week I decided to do something a little bit different and have a little bit of a series and talk about what should be your research and publication strategy at different stages of your career. My contribution to this, the reason I think I can speak about this is because I have changed jobs a bit, not a lot, but a bit. But more importantly, I'm the director of research at my current institution, and I participate in all of the job market interviews that we do. So I've seen, people being very successful, people not being very successful. I've read all of their CVs and spent an hour with every one of them, asking them questions about their research, their papers, their research strategy. So hopefully this will be helpful for people. Ideally, sort of like before you are at this stage in the job market. I'll say that today's video is for people halfway through their PhD or even beginning their PhD. Tomorrow we'll have a video for mid-career senior scholars. That'll be for people that are just starting, that are junior scholars now. And then the video for late-stage scholarly careers, late-stage scholars, then that'll be for people mid-career, right? So that you have time to adjust your strategy. Anyway, if you don't, then this will be a sort of a realistic preview of what you can hope and expect. The first thing that I think it's important to realize is that the job market is very stratified, meaning that my school is one of the top schools in France. But it's not one of these global brands such as MIT or Harvard or so on. That market, MIT and Harvard, is a completely different ballgame. I can speak a little bit about it because I had some visibility of it, but it's not the market I'm most qualified to discuss. Okay, so I'm speaking for, I would say, the majority of people who have a PhD from an average plus to good or very good institution, and that, they're not geniuses, they don't have, they're not geniuses basically, but, they're good, competent researchers. And so they're looking for an institution that really provides them an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to develop, but that, is somewhere where people are publishing in very top journals and where research excellence is very much valued, encouraged, and supported. And that's where I work. Okay, so basically, I would say that there are three profiles that are successful in getting hired or at least getting a fly-in. So that means an interview where you are very likely to be hired if it goes well. There are three profiles that have the highest chance of this happening to them, and these three profiles are three very different publication strategies for three very different, let's say, levels of opportunities and skill. Because, if you get the right advisor, you'll be much better off than if you don't. Even sometimes, if you are from a better institution but you have a bad advisor, you'll be way worse off than somebody in a lower end institution but with a very good advisor. So anyway, this is not, as with anything in life, it's not entirely merit-based, but there it is. So there are three basic publication paths that will land you a job in a very good institution, such as IESEG, where I work, where we have amazing resources for research, where research is very valued, and you have a good research community and a nice salary. So first, and I would say the typical applicant to IESEC is somebody with B-level Category 2 publications, okay? So basically every country has a list. So there's the best known list is the ABS journal list. In France, we use the CNRS list. And then different schools have different lists, but we sort of all know that, you have A+, A, and B journals, right? So I'd say if you want a rule of thumb, basically an A+ journal is a well-known, recognized journal in the field where people really want to publish. An A journal is a journal with an impact factor, a 5-year impact factor of 2 or above, and a B journal has an impact factor of 1 point something, 1.3, 1.5 or above. This in management, of course, where impact factors are relatively high. So basically, if you have 1, 2 B journals and ideally a revise and resubmit in an A journal, so not the top but a good journal, then you'll be, you definitely have a very good chance in a very good school like IESEC. Okay. Now, we in France at least, but I think it's a little bit in other countries. You think, Category 1 journals, A journals. I mean, this is not AMJ or AMR or something. I mean, there are some accessible journals. If you have good enough data, remember we talked about how important data is for papers to be published. If you have a solid, a solid data set and you've done a good job with the results section, you can get published in Category 1. Okay, you can get published or revise and resubmit in Category 1. And Category 2, I mean, just look at the French list. I'll just put a video notes post on my website and link it here. But I mean, you can see, you can publish stuff in, Category 2 is not super hard. You can pull it off. Okay. I mean, obviously you need to do a good job. It's not easy. You need to do a good job, but you don't need to be a genius, and you don't need to put AMJ or ASQ levels of work in your idea and so on. So this is doable. This is doable for a PhD student that has, again, really a really solid data set. If you don't, then obviously you're going uphill. So 1 or 2 publications, one's enough. Publication in a Category 2, okay? And ideally revise and resubmit in Category 1, okay? Now, what if you don't have a revise and resubmit in a Category 1, but you have publications in a Category 2? You still need something extra, and that will be Ironclad data. Amazing data, like really amazing data. And really amazing data can get you out of like a lot of sticky situations. So like, I remember one of our applicants, like, just basically had a bad job talk. So, it just didn't go well. The job talk just didn't go well, but their data was amazing. So, I mean, people that stand in hiring committees are smart people that really want to attract talent and that have a lot of experience, right? I mean, I've only been doing this for 3 years and I've interviewed 300 people. And I want to make sure that good people come to my school, right? So if somebody that is good bombs a job talk, that happens. And but if you have in this case with this person that they have amazing data, you say, okay, they maybe the paper is too early stage, or they were a little bit nervous, but the data is there. I mean, and with good data, you'll get stuff out. So, again, if you have publications in category 2, great, 1 is enough, and ideally revise and resubmit in a category 1 or amazing data. And obviously, you need a pipeline on top of all of this, right? You cannot just have, one publication or 2 or 3 even in category 2 and say, this is it. I mean, because we want to make sure when we're talking to you to hire you, we want to make sure that, you're going to hit your targets, and your targets only start counting after you join the school. So if you have 5 papers before you joined a school, and this is the same with every school, right? For the tenure and so on, they count. They don't count stuff published before you joined, right? Or for junior scholars, so they don't count stuff for your PhD. They count, you have that counts towards your promotion, but for your let's say yearly or 3-year targets, you need to publish stuff during your employment at that institution. So so obviously everybody wants to see a pipeline, right? But we're not talking about pipeline. We're talking about what should be your research strategy during your PhD, and that is publish a category 2. And if you can get a revise and resubmit in category 1, and here, I mean, you can be a little bit more strategic and go to a category 1, or just say, look, I'm super good, so I can actually have a revise and resubmit in a category 1 star or an A+. This is AMJ. You have to assess that risk. All right, good. So that's profile number 1. Profile number 2 is somebody that only has revise and resubmit, but this is in a super top journal. So A+, category 1 star in the French list. So this is AMJ or Science, ASQ, and so on. This can be co-authored with your supervisor, that's fine. Can be co-authored with many other people, that's fine. But it needs to be in one of these super top, top 5 sort of journals, okay? If people on the recruiting committee are doing their job, they will ask you for the letter from the editor, at least, if not from the reviews, or they'll ask you very detailed, that's what I do, I'll ask super detailed questions about the reviews to really see what's the chance of this paper going through. And normally it's relatively easy to evaluate. So, but obviously if you get an R&R through a very top journal, then you'll be able to get something through a category 1 or category 2. Okay. Finally, there is the 0 publication. Yes, you can be hired with 0 publications, with 0 R&Rs. You can. What you need to be hired with 0 R&Rs? First, you need amazing, really amazing recommendation letters, because the school doesn't have anything to, evaluate you, any sort of independent evaluation of you. So, the second best thing are recommendation letters. Now, I will tell you a secret. All recommendation letters are positive, but there are some keywords, those I will not reveal because I want to be nice to everybody, that will show whether people really think this is an amazing person, okay? Or not. And you want a letter saying that you are an amazing person if you don't have any publications. If you do have publications, then, okay letters are okay. But this is, you have nothing, not a revise and resubmit, nothing. In addition to very good letters, you need, and so you need to be very careful about who you ask those letters of. Not famous people, but people who like you and believe in you. That's who you need. And also, you need a bulletproof, amazing job market paper. The paper that you present will be your calling card. Okay? So it needs to be insane. It needs to be really, really amazing. But you can do it. You can be hired with 0 papers. So yeah, just focus on those letters and on your job market paper. Okay. Now, in addition to each of these, there's something that all of them need. All of them need co-authors outside your institution. I mean, even if you have a publication in a A+, 1 star, A star, MJ or Science, you need to show this. Why? Because everybody knows that numbers, and we all have targets. My school is very good. The targets are realistic, and they support the long-term strategies of papers that take 6 years to publish. Others are not so good. Some countries, even like the UK, has crazy government level targets that are super destructive for these sort of longer term research projects. But we all have targets, and those targets are very difficult to achieve on your own. So people want to see that you have a network of co-authors, and that are not your advisor. Okay. So this is really important. This doesn't mean that you need papers, even manuscripts finished, but you need some conference presentations at the very least, with co-authors outside your PhD institution. Okay. Now, publication strategy that does not work, that you should not attempt, is lots of small publications. Lots of publications in C journals, in category 3 journals. Why? Because this is a signal to the institution that is going to hire you, and it's basically saying, I either don't have the motivation or the skill to publish above category 3. Again, if you cannot publish at category 2, if you collect good data, you will publish at category 2. Collect good data, do good job in analysis, you will publish at category 2. That's work. There's no genius in collecting good data. There's a lot of work involved. Obviously, there's more work involved in doing ethnography than doing a handful of interviews. There's more work. There's more work in doing good interviews than bad interviews. Yes, there's more work in doing a good data analysis. There's more time involved in doing a good data analysis. But you don't need to be a genius. Reviewers help. Eventually, co-authors help, right? So yeah. So you'll get category 2. I mean, just look at the list of category 2. So if you have a lot of category 3s, also you need to think about it, right? So if you have a bunch of category 3s, then that means that you need more time to develop, which means that you probably want to take a postdoc or to take a job at more of a teaching institution that will buy you time to develop as a scholar. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I myself took 3 years to develop. I needed that. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm actually very proud that I made that decision. Okay, and it worked. It worked well for me. You don't need to join a top research institution like IESEG at the start of your career. You can start at a lower institution and then be hired by IESEG. I'm not the first person that IESEG hired from a teaching school. Okay. So I'm not the only person. So yeah, you can definitely pull it off. If you need time, then don't put yourself into a pressure cooker that will just set you up for failure and wreak havoc your mental health. Just go somewhere where, you can take the time that you need to develop. And I do think that if you have a passion for research, you should do research, and you can do research. But I have met people that, basically they bought the idea of research, but that's not where their heart is. That's, they do it because they have to do it. But it's not their craft. Their craft is, for example, teaching. And I've met some people that are wonderful at that, and that went for institutions that allowed them to bloom. So you just need to really take that into account, that you may need some time to grow. Okay, if you don't have these things. Okay, but lots of small publications. This is not very good. If you have this on your CV right now, I would say try to get a revise and resubmit in a category 2, or if you don't have time for that, try to plan for a postdoc. Yeah. Now, so what can you do as a PhD student to make sure that you have what it takes? Okay, what you need to do. 3+1 things. As you know, I like the 3+1 strategy. So first thing is be an RA, research assistant, for somebody senior. And sometimes this is not your PhD advisor, and sometimes this can help you when your PhD advisor sucks. One of the most brilliant colleagues that I've had worked with somebody outside of completely outside of management, and they have had such a brilliant career with amazing solo authored, super top journal publications. They were almost set up for like a horror story because of who their advisor was, but then they did an RA for somebody completely outside the school, and they really blossomed there. So, but working with somebody senior is good. It's a good way to learn the craft of research and writing, but also it will just get you that early publication. Category 2 or category 1 that you need. Okay, good. If this is not possible, this was my case. I didn't have that opening during my PhD. Okay, so what you can do is then focus on what in the United States is called a Part 2 paper. So in the United States, in your second year of your PhD program, you're supposed to write a paper that is not your thesis. Okay, so really, work on this. And if you look at journalists, you'll see that several journals that publish literature reviews are actually quite well ranked. So I have a revise and resubmit of a literature review in a category 2 journal, and I have published a literature review, was actually my first ever paper on a journal that is category, I think category 1 now as well, so A, but if not category 2. So, a literature review is something, if you don't have data in your second year, and this cannot be your thesis data, just do a good literature review, and send that to category 2 B-level journal, okay, and that will, that's your publication in category 2. That's it. You've got the most important piece that you need to get a good job, okay. Obviously, I would really discourage you to write theory papers, unless obviously it's with a senior person. Theory papers are super hard to publish, and they need an understanding of the subtleties of a discussion in a field that is very difficult to acquire as a junior scholar. So I'll discourage that. If you don't have data, just do a very good literature review. If none of this works, so you don't have time for a part of paper, you don't RA for a senior person, then what you need to do, and I would say you need to do this anyway, is you need to write your job market paper, your golden nugget of a dissertation paper, in parallel with your dissertation. Don't write your dissertation and then write your first paper from dissertation. Do them together. I don't mean, write 3 papers, whatever. Write one paper together. And let's be realistic. Nobody has the time to write 3 excellent papers during their dissertation. I know now many universities have 3 paper dissertations, which I think sucks, but nevertheless, that is the case. Think about what is the star paper here. And the star paper here is very easy to decide. It's the one with the best and the most data. Okay? So what is your star paper, and focus on that. It's better to have a rougher time in your defense because you have one star paper and then a couple of one good and one half good paper, than having 3 very good papers but not one excellent paper that you can submit to the job market. Okay, because job market presentations are tough. People are there in the room not out of intellectual curiosity. They are there to evaluate you. They're going to be asking tough questions. That's their job. So you need something bulletproof, like really bulletproof. Okay? So, so make sure that you don't wait until you defend your dissertation to write your first paper. You don't have to submit it before applying, but I mean, if you can, that's great, because then if you can get an R&R in a category 1 or 1 star or A plus, then that looks great. But you need to have it ready to hand out and to present, because people will read the paper, people will go to your presentation, and people will ask tough questions. Okay? I read all the papers and ask tough questions in the management interviews. I unfortunately don't have time. As you can see, I interview around 100 people a year, so I don't really have time to go to presentations. I wish I did. But, so I ask my questions during the interview, so you really need that. Okay. Something that you also need to focus on is, looking for those early co-authors outside your university. So this is why it's important to go to conferences or, hang out at school and, and meet colleagues and, discuss joint projects. That's super important. Okay. So that's it for today. I see there are no questions in chat, so I'll just thank everybody for watching and talk to you tomorrow.